got going on? Getting it popping. Let me plug in. All right, welcome. We back again, once again, time and time again, my friends. And we back on it Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays, in between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know I'm late, my bad, but I'm keeping it consistent. I'm coming back to you just a little later in the day. Maybe obviously help you provide yourself with some valuable education going into tomorrow by it being a little closer to market close. Once again, I apologize for the tardiness, but Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, we back. Just a little live update, market breakdown on where I see the market heading over the next few days. So just a bit of direction to help you in your trading. Go ahead and make sure you are subscribed with the post notifications turned on so you do get notified anytime I do go live or post any educational content on this channel. I got something stacking up in the vault. About to hit y'all soon with a lot of uploads, so be ready for that as well as we go into the holiday season. But let's jump right into it. We start off with XAU USD from the monthly time frame. We spoke about this pair every single time. We had previous structure resistance here, support here, support here, support. We closed, broke below it, came back, retested it, rejected from that area. And then we came down to retest some of this next structure level resistance right in here. We didn't get a full touch into it, but from this area, we are starting to find some sort of a rejection of the lows. So we are starting to bounce a little bit, and that is on the monthly, starting to break above some structure. If we do get a strong monthly close above this, would be a good indication that the market wants to go ahead, at least for some retracement, to come retest some of these areas up in here from the monthly, so we could see bullish action for a while. Now, if we do drop down to the weekly time frame, you can see that we failed to break lower by creating this triple bottom. So we came into it once here, twice here, thrice, one more time, and we're starting to, with this weekly, break above some of these levels, where if we do get a nice and easy continuation of some sort, if this goes ahead and closes, comes back for a retest of the W formation form, we could expect there to be a lot more bullishness on this pair. But if we drop down to the daily for some immediate moves that we could see on this market, as you can see, we were waiting for an impulse from this area to come back, retest some of these levels. But once again, these patterns that complete 80 to 90% of the time, we had to move up, move down, move back up, broke above the structure, came back, retest the neckline to a T, and then we exploded from the upside. So if you want to learn how to take advantage of these patterns in the market that happen over and over and over on all time frames, be sure to click the link in the description. It will take you over to my program where you can get access to all the strategies that we use to go ahead and take advantage of the markets from not only a swing trading standpoint, but also a day trading standpoint as well. But if we're looking at XAU USD on the daily, you can see that we did break above some structure here. If we get a nice and easy retracement, we could see a continuation to go ahead and help aid our further analysis from the monthly of seeing more continuation to the upside. Let's drop down to XAG USD from the monthly time frame. On the monthly, we've spoken about this pair as well. Simply put, we've had previous structure resistance in this area. Now we had structure support over in here. We are starting to see the rejection, starting to get some candles moving to the upside with a lot of momentum and velocity. So on the monthly, we're pointing to the upside as well. On the weekly, you can see that we did have some areas right in here that we wanted to see the market come down to and at least retest. We did not get that. We are starting to reject to the upside, where we could see further continuation to the upside for a retracement and then a possible move to the upside as well. Just what I'm looking at from a broad perspective. And if we do drop down to the daily to see a little immediate moves, what we could see is what we were looking for was a nice and easy retracement back down into some of these areas right in here. We did not get that, but the market did impulse to the upside. From here on the daily time frame, if the retracement starts to slow down right around this area, we could see possible continuations to the upside on this market. XBT USD from the monthly time frame, what can we see? What can we identify on the monthly? On the monthly, you can see that we had several levels of structure in this area that we wanted to see the market break above before we started to look for possible buy situations or expecting this market to continue to the upside. We wanted to see a couple of these levels cleared. We are starting to get that, and that is from the monthly, so we could see more continuation to the upside as we are breaking some of these highs. If we drop down to the weekly, you can see that we are a bit extended to the upside. The last place that we had some resistance was right in here. We ran into, we could possibly see a retracement back down into these areas before we see a continuation to the upside as well, just following the monthly. Now if we look at the daily, you can see the daily setting up pretty nicely for move down, move up, move down, break above all this structure, come back, retest the neckline for a continuation to the upside, and that is from the daily for XBT USD. Now we have US oil on the monthly time frame, and on the monthly it's really simple, just keeping it really consistent. We had previous structure resistance in this area. We want to see it act as support, so you want to see the market kind of move away from this level if we can at all possible. If we drop down to the weekly time frame, you can see we did have what we like, not perfect, not really easily spotted by the untrained eye, but after you've been in the market for a while, you can see we had a level in the market here that rejected, and then we broke and closed below, immediately came back into the area, retest the left shoulder. Let me clean this up a little bit. We retested the left shoulder. We did not break and close below it, and then from there we started the impulse to the upside. But once we got amongst these highs, we're starting to get rejected very aggressively, and that is this week. So since the market is kind of trapped in between these levels, nothing really to do. And if we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see that we did have move up, move down, move up, move down, move up. So we had several of the most common pattern in the market patterns happen. Just a nice and easy break above structure, come back, retest previous structure broken as the opposite. We made a move to the upside, continued the trend, came back to retest the previous structure that was broken as the opposite. Broke to the upside. We're looking for the market to come and retest the previous structure that was broken as the opposite. It did not. We waited for the daily candle to close, and then once it closed bearish below some of this structure, we then needed to wait for more time for the market to break back above these levels. And being patient, sitting on your hands, we did not get that. And then today we had another just bearish candle close to the downside, retesting some of this area right in here. From the daily time frame, I would like to see out of this pattern, once you have a level in the market, break above it, we have immediate close back into the level. You want to see this left shoulder be used as the right shoulder and some resistance that you do not want to see the market break above, and then we could possibly see a continuation to the downside. But once again, if we look at the monthly, we have previous structure resistance that we want to see acting as support. So we want to wait until we get all time frames in alignment before we start to make decisions on possible trades, which would give us the best probabilities for the trade to play out. So really just kind of sitting by the sidelines on US oil, as it would take several days to develop some sort of trade anyways. Now let's slide over to the Forex market. We have Euro USD. Once again, we spoke about it. This pair is extremely bearish. Just from the monthly time frame, we have a level in the market that we would need to see broken and close above before this started to act as a bullish market from the monthly time frame perspective. But we know that we can expect a retracement of some sort. Even if the market does want to continue to the downside, it needs to provide some relief, grab some liquidity in order to move in that direction. So we can take advantage of the monthly retracement that may last a little bit longer than, say, a 4-hour retracement or a 15-minute retracement. But if we look at the weekly, you can see that we did have just the same thing. Move to the downside, move up, move down, move up, came back, retest some of these levels back in this area, rejected, and we are starting to make a move to the upside, and that is on the weekly. So we had some weekly structure in here, and then as well, if you can see it, we had this all in here. We had a level in the market, broke down below it, had a little consolidation, broke back up into the zone, retest the left shoulder, did not break and close below it, and then from there you can expect higher prices. So if we drop down to the daily time frame, what can we identify on the daily? Now this is a bit risky because we came into these highs and got rejected, or getting rejected from this area, even though it is providing the retracement that you would like to see the market come into some of these structure areas that was previous structure. So if we zoom in on it, You can see that we did have a structure candle. So we had one candle not related to the move, not of the same color of the move, which is a structure candle. Once broken to the upside, it should act as structure once retested from either way, from above or below. And if we do get that retracement back down in this area, it could be possible a setup for a move to the upside, but I would really like to see this come in here, and I could probably day trade this for the momentum, because it is not guaranteed that it's going to break these highs once it's already been rejected. So I could see a possible move in here and then day trade it up to the upside, not necessarily all the way up to the resistance, up to the highs, but I could probably be able to find some sort of move in there, something like this, where we can get where we could get a nice and easy 2R risk to reward, just something to go about. But we would still need the market to end the retracement on the daily before we possibly look for any type of trade. So we still have a couple days for that to develop. And if we drop down to GBP USD on the monthly time frame, we spoke about it once again. On the monthly, we are extremely bearish, and then we have a level in the market up in here that is acting as previous structure support that should act as resistance. So if the market does want to go ahead and make it into this area, that would be even better, because it would provide a nice and easy retracement lining up with structure and everything for us to go ahead and take advantage of. But if we look at the weekly, you can see once again patterns complete 80 to 90% of the time. Move down, move up, move down, move up, move down, go ahead and complete at the neckline. Once again, let me clean that up, make it a little cleaner. We have a move down to the downside, we have the move up, we have the move down, back down, and then we have the explosion to the upside, and now we have the market coming in completing at the neckline of the W formation form, which is a pattern that completes 80 to 90% of the time on all time frames. So on the weekly, we are starting to come into some of these weekly resistance levels where you want to see the market, now that it's broken above, act as support at those levels to provide a continuation to the upside. But we are extremely bearish on the monthly, so the retracement back down for a continuation to the upside may not occur. If we look just simply at the daily time frame, you can see that we wanted to see the market break above this level, come back, retest it, not break below the left shoulder. But now the market is starting to break and close, which will more likely close below the left shoulder within the next 8 minutes until market close. But we could possibly see continuations to the downside for the monthly trend. So we are still trending to the downside on the monthly until we break some of these levels. So we could possibly see the market go ahead and continue to the downside, and then from there we could look for possible retracements and continuations to the downside, and a possible move to go ahead and complete not only just the daily but the weekly and the monthly retracement. Once again, pointed out over here, if we do get a breakdown below, a retest into some of these areas would provide the best probabilities. Now if we look at AUD USD on the monthly time frame, you can see that the monthly retracement is due. So we're going to need a few monthly candles, which means we will need to wait to the end of the month for the candle to finally print and close. But we would like to see a market come back and retest some of these levels just to go ahead and continue the trend to the downside. So we can't make the market change trends, we can't make it do anything, but what we can do is take advantage of the moves that it is highly likely to make. So since we are on the weekly now dropping down, we can see that we are starting to move to the upside, where we could see a possible continuation to the downside. But first we would need to see some of these levels cleared from just a weekly standpoint. Now if we look at the daily, on the daily, what can we identify is that we did have a nice and easy move to the upside, move down, move up, break above, come back into the area without a structure candle or any type of hesitation, and then you want to see the market come in here and then provide the continuation to the downside without breaking above the left shoulder. In this instance, we broke above the left shoulder, also clearing this level right here. So now that we cleared that level and broke and closed it to the upside, you would like to see that level be used as possible structure support. Since it is coming from the upside to that level, you want to see it explode to the upside for a continuation. which could be possible, but with this strong daily candle now probably closing in the next 6 minutes to the downside as the way it is, we have a double top rejection. And then from there, from a double top rejection, you want to see the market move to the downside to come retest the neckline of what would be created an M pattern. So really a lot of these pairs, since they are correlated, are going to be showing the same things, and the same things that they are showing is that there is not much to really do, since the market is trapped in between most likely some sort of resistance as well as some sort of support. So we would need to see a breakout on the US dollar to either direction before possible setups present themselves. But we can go ahead and just monitor what has happened since the last time we spoke about these pairs, just to keep us updated and our memories fresh for when that opportunity does come. Now, if we look at the monthly of USD CAD moving down on the watch list, you can see that we have a big explosion to the upside. So this is a quite bullish pair until we break some of these resistance levels that was previous resistance down in here, break and close below them to the downside. This is still a bullish market. And if we drop down to the weekly, on the weekly, you can see that we identified the few levels. So we had a level right in here that was structure, and then we also had a level right in here that was structure. We wanted to see the market break below, come back, retest for a continuation to the downside to possibly come retest some of these levels in here. We are starting to get the retest as it is right now. Now the rejection, who knows what's going to happen. If we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see that we did have a bearish close on this market that provided an extreme momentum to the downside. From there, it kind of consolidated, which is unfortunate because you would like to see the market, obviously after a move like that, provide you with a nice opportunity and some levels of structure for a continuation to the downside. But what did happen is the market broke and closed below, came back, retest previous structure support right around in this area, and then started to make a move to the downside, which is the most common pattern in the market. Now that we rejected from these levels down in here, once this most common pattern in the market was completed, we are starting to see a little relief, a little exhaustion, where we could possibly see the market come into some of these areas before we start to get a breakdown. But like I said, once again, these pairs are correlated. They have the USD in them. We are trapped in between some sort of resistance and support as it is right now. A breakout to either direction would provide the best probabilities in terms of trading. So NZD USD from the monthly time frame, we've had previous structure support now acting as current structure support because it is getting retested from the upside. You want to see the bounce out of that. On the weekly, what do we have? We have a move to the downside, move up, move down, and then we have explosion to the upside. If possible, more than likely, we would like to see the market come back and retest some of these levels right in here, which would complete the W pattern, which does complete 80 to 90% of the time on all time frames. Once again, if you want to learn how to take advantage of those patterns, check the link in the description. You can get access to all the strategies where we do take advantage of the W pattern, the M pattern as well, double tops, double bottoms. You learn how to actually accurately identify those patterns and then take advantage of them, because they are some very, very faithful setups, patterns to go ahead and take advantage of. Now, if we look at the daily time frame, what we have on the daily is a slow impulse. It is still an impulse because all these candles are of the same color. And then we're starting to get the retracement. Possible areas to see the retracement end, previous structure resistance that should now act as support. But it would still be nice to see the market break above this level of resistance that was support at one point over here, now acting as resistance over here. So it's more than likely a better probability to see the market break above this level to see the continuations, because if it's obvious previous structure support acting as resistance already in your face, and then you try to look for the buy breaking above this area, it's not a good probability trade because it's already shown you that this structure level is holding. And since we're coming from the underside of it, coming from underneath, it should act as resistance once again. So the probabilities of this go ahead and breaking are low until the market actually does break those levels. So it'd be best just, once again, these pairs are correlated. That's why I'm going to try to keep this one sweet In short, not too much to go about. We are trapped in between some sort of resistance and some sort of support. So until we get a breakout either way on these pairs, it's best to go ahead and just wait for the market to tell you what it wants to do and not try to guess and anticipate. We react. We do not anticipate or guess what the market's going to do. You react to what it is already doing. But we can slide over to USDCHF. You know, I've been talking about this one for a while. Exemplifies the most common pattern in the market to the T. Break above structure, come back, retest previous structure, broken as the opposite, and continue to make a higher high in this instance, which is continuing the trend. Now, the market can't go in one direction forever. It would be nice to see if the market does react in this area on the monthly, which we have 21 days for this monthly candle to close. But if we drop down to the weekly to get a little more detail, you can see that this is lining up perfectly with.
It's 17 hours.
Excuse me. What up, J Staff? A little late, my fault, but we here. But this is lining up perfectly with previous structure resistance, now acting as support. We should see a bounce out of there. Once again, we're not anticipating. We are reacting to what's happening. If we drop down to the daily time frame, it would be nice to see, even though the market has broken several levels of structure, the most ideal place for the market to go to after it's broken down, which we did want to see the market come into this level and reject. We did not get that. Now we're starting to break below. So now this level should act as the opposite. So we want to wait until all of our time frames are in alignment. That's why we do the multi-time frame analysis, which is going to give you the best probabilities. So since we are kind of trapped in between some of these levels of support, some of these levels of resistance right in here, it's best to go ahead and wait for the market to tell you what it wants to do before you try to guess what the market wants to do. We can go over USDJPY from a monthly time frame perspective. Once again, very extended to the upside. A retracement is in order. We are starting the retracement on the monthly candle. We're quite overextended on this pair as well. If we drop down to the weekly, you can see that we haven't gotten strong weekly candles yet. So we are starting to make moves to the downside, but there are some wicks on both ends showing indecision, just slightly closing bearish on each one of these weekly candles. So we're not coming into this area with a lot of momentum. This retracement isn't starting off so strong as far as going down to continue some of these levels down in here, but we are starting to get the retracement from a weekly time frame perspective. Now on the daily, last time we spoke about it, we had levels of structure right in here down amongst these lows, and then we also had levels of structure up in here amongst these highs. The ideal place for the market to go is previous structure resistance and now turn support over on here. We haven't tapped into some of these levels yet. It would be nice to see if the market does want to go ahead and retest some of these levels, but we still would like to see, even if we did want to look for buys on this market, some structure created and broken to the upside on the daily time frame before we start to look for possible buys for just the most common pattern: move up, move down, retest previous structure resistance, now a support for a continuation to the upside, which is the most common pattern in the market. So just like I said, a lot of these are correlated. You want to see the actual moves and the intent that the market wants to give you before you start to jump in on some of these pairs, especially the majors as it is right now. And if we look at Bitcoin, we can go ahead and talk about that, keeping it simple as consistent as we can. We have previous structure resistance over here. You want to see it act as support over on this side. Just simply put, we have had a few bounces out of this area, so it has acted as support already multiple times, which means each time it gets tested, it is getting weaker. Now if we drop down to the weekly time frame, you can see that just on the weekly we had a level right in here that we did not want to see the market break below in order to continue making trends to the upside. But this is considered bearish from the monthly time frame perspective because we have several levels of structure which was support at one point that should act as resistance until we get a few of those levels broken to the upside. This is still a bearish pair. Now we haven't closed yet, but we did break below from a weekly perspective, below that 18,000 number that was holding price. Everybody was saying even myself included. This was holding price, which it may hold price, but you can see that this week a lot of people are disappointed because their Bitcoins are falling very, very hard. Now, if we drop down to the daily time frame, you can see when we last spoke about Bitcoin, we did come into a level in the market that should act as previous structure resistance, now turn support. That's why we wait for the candles to close and actually do the things we do over at the FX Savant University. So we have a system to go ahead and keep us out of unlikely and unfavorable trades that may not play out in our favor. And waiting for the candle to close is actually one of the stipulations that we use. Now, if we look at the daily time frame, can you really expect the market to start breaking up to the upside in explosive fashion after we have all these levels of structure that would need to be broken first? No, but it did, give some people a little hope. But from there, we did have this move to the downside, complex correction, and then we have the continuation. So it is still the most common pattern in the market. We did come and retest some of these levels that was previously broken, and then we made a move to the downside on the daily time frame. So from here, we just expect the market to continue doing what it does and following trends. So since the market is making moves to the downside until it breaks above all these levels to the upside, this is still a bearish pair. Do not expect the market to go ahead and retest the highs until 2024, which is the next halving event. So by then, which is the cause for all this run up before, was the first halving event. We're getting another one in 2024. So I expect that to possibly provide another move to the upside to at least go retest some of these highs or possibly break into new territory. But I'm not just blindly getting in right now in hopes that this level will hold. I will wait for a few things to be satisfied before I start to look for possible moves to the upside on this market. But that pretty much sums it up. Any pairs anybody wants me to go over? Nothing too crazy. Like I said, short and sweet. A lot of the market is trapped in between levels of structure right now, from just simply a major pair standpoint. Really just trapped in between some daily structure. So possibly the end of tomorrow and Friday, we could see possible moves that may be likely for next week. But yeah, I will be back on Friday in between 3 and 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This time I'm actually make it on time. Apologies once again for being late today, but that's pretty much gonna be it, man. I hope y'all are having a profitable day on and off the charts. And until next time.